Hello, Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here, and welcome to the channel. And welcome to another episode of My Collecting Life, the series where I get to chat with you, members of the toy collecting community, about your own personal collections, finding out what got you into collecting in the first place, and what gives you that toy collecting buzz. All right then, you lot. So, it's that time of the week again, and another episode of My Collecting Life is upon us. And it's episode 92 to be precise. And in TVC terms, that would be VC 92, which is Anakin Skywalker on a Clone Wars card back. But that's not what you wanted to know. What you lot want to know is, who is this week's guest? Well, why don't we all find out? You all know the drill by now. Grab yourselves a cuppa, sit yourselves down, make yourselves comfortable, and let's take a look at some of the collection in a musical montage. Okie dokie then. So once again, we are treated to an absolutely superb collection. You've got a little bit of Star Wars, then there's a little bit more Star Wars, and to top it off, there's even more Star Wars. It's a pleasure to welcome to the channel once again, TVC Macken, also known as Mackenzie. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hi, Stu. It's great to be on the second time on the channel, and might got a few more
It
lined
is,
up.
it is. So this is more of a one-to-one. The last time you were thrown into the thick of things with a Star Wars quiz, which, by the way, you did rather well, and you've found yourself into the second round. So
Yeah,
congratulations, sir. Yeah, so good
thank you.
stuff.
I
Good
look
stuff.
forward to it.
So yeah, well, I mean, if you tune in tomorrow, you'll be able to find out when you're on and who you're with in round two. So
Oh, okay.
there you go. So yeah, so obviously for those of you who don't know, this is pre-recorded. So there you are. But anyhow, enough of that. Like you were saying, you know a little bit about the series. I got 10 questions for you, all about you and your collection. Runtime roughly about an hour. If we go over, not a problem, my friend. So when you're ready, shall we crack on with the first question?
Sure, man. We can start when you're ready.
Awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. Right. What toy lines were you into as a kid? And what memories do you have of those toy lines?
At least these questions are more fun than the trivia.
What are you saying? What are you
I barely
saying?
got half of those right, but uh,
Yeah, all
well,
easy questions this week.
I'm a '90s kid, so
Okay. Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much grew up
Yep.
with a lot of the '90s toys.
Yeah.
So I was born in '91, so even Star Wars, like when Power of the Force started, I was 3, 4 years old. So
Okay.
even then, there was a lot of different things I had, like Jurassic Park,
Yeah.
early Star Wars, Ninja Turtle, a little bit of GI Joe. I think once I got past the you know little kid phase where
Yeah.
family and everybody's just buying you any and every toy, and you kind of start picking what you want to go with. Actually, I think the first toy line I was really into was 90s. In the 90s they had a 12-inch GI Joe line. So that
Really?
was the first,
Okay.
at
Wow.
least my earliest memory was
Yeah.
having probably 10 or so of those. And I think from there I branched out into wrestling.
Okay.
So
Okay.
um kind of like early 2000s, like 2000, 2002. I was
Yeah.
probably big into the wrestling line. I had a lot of friends that played. That was back when you had still WCW was
Yeah.
around and ECW. I think from there uh I probably really started to get into Star Wars toys around Attack of the Clones. Kind of
Okay. Yeah.
dived
Yeah.
into the lines they had kind of around that movie. Wanted to build out a bunch of clones as a kid and
Yeah.
have your Jedi. The Geonosis battle is probably what got me really collecting Star Wars toys as a kid.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I
Um, I
yeah. So
also
no.
had the early Marvel Legends too,
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep.
like the early 2000s Marvel Legends. And going back looking through the catalog of those, I probably had a good portion of the first couple years of the Marvel Legends run. So
Yeah.
I probably stopped toy maybe action figure collecting or playing with probably around the year Revenge of the Sith came out, because I think that's the last. I think the last line I remember seeing in stores was the Saga
Yeah.
collection. The
Okay.
the yeah, the one that had the kind of round box packaging. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
was probably also real big into gaming. I think when the I had a Nintendo 64. It's probably my first console,
Okay. Yep.
and did a lot Game Boy. Played a lot of Game Boy too. So Pokemon
Yeah.
was probably about 98 to 2001 or so.
Okay.
Pokemon was
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
my biggest
Wow. Wow.
um on the
I
toy
I
area.
find it interesting. So I find it interesting going back to the 12-inch action GI Joe, because I know they did them like sort of like the 80s and stuff like that, but I didn't realize they kind of did they stopped doing them because then they went 3 3/4 inch. I didn't realize they had gone back to doing those again. Was that a fairly big line or not
I don't
really?
know, because I was young. I mean, that was probably something I
Yeah,
had when I was 7 or 8, and
yeah.
never really. It's probably something I started with one, and I remember I had like a desert camo. I had one in the all black, a couple of the kind of navy style, and so that was I was really little
Yeah.
when I got into those. So I don't really have a whole lot of memory. I just remember having
Okay.
um, just a small collection. But
Mm. And then another thing I find interesting as well is the wrestling figures, because a lot of people, even sort of like from my generation back in the 80s, they were saying about their wrestling figures and stuff like that. And it's bizarre because I was never aware of the wrestling figures. I didn't see any of the wrestling figures in any of the stores, whether it was because I wasn't like knowingly looking for them. I didn't see them because as soon as I went into a store, I'd head straight to the GI Joe section, the He-Man section, or the Star Wars section. So I probably bypassed the wrestling. But I mean, because you say you watched it as a kid as well on TV, so were you kind of big into that kind of thing, wrestling?
I was for a while. I
Yeah.
probably from early 2000s. Around the probably towards the end of like the WCW days, and before when they were still WWF, before they were
Right.
WWE. And I
Yeah.
probably was into wrestling until probably a little bit into high school, so around 2006, 2007.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
even then, when I had the figures, I mean, they were still pretty articulated then. I know that most of the '80s versions were all kind of pre-posed with like
Yeah.
muscle
Yeah.
stances.
That's it. Yeah.
So yeah, the ones I had were a little bit better. You had the kind of, and I don't know if you really watched wrestling in those
I
days at
wasn't
all.
big into it. No, no, no. No. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, 'cause to be fair, back in those days, all I was aware of was UK wrestling, which we had like Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks, and seeing those kind of guys roll around in leotards wasn't really something that I
yeah.
was, yeah, couldn't get into that sort of thing. It's funny enough, but yeah, and because and then you see what later on, around about the 90s, you hear about all the wrestling in the States and stuff like that, and I just was kind of blown away by it because we had the British Bulldog, and he was probably our best well-known wrestler at that time after like the era of Big Daddy and Giant Haystack. So, but again, it was something that I wasn't really sort of like into. I was aware of it around sort of like the mid-90s, but other than that, it was something I wasn't really into.
So yeah, it was like late '90s, early 2000s when I was really into it, and
Right.
I haven't really. It's probably been here 10, 15 years since I've paid too much attention to
Yeah. Yeah.
what's going
Uh,
on. It's not really my thing now, but
No. No, fair enough. Fair enough. And what about Christmas and birthdays? I mean, have you got any specific memories of Christmas and birthdays? You wake up one Christmas morning, you've got, a vivid memory of a toy that you got one Christmas
I
or
think
birthday.
probably have more Christmas memories, and they're probably more video game related. I do. I mean, I still
Oh,
remember
really? Okay. Yeah.
the first Christmas I got a Nintendo 64. I mean, that was sorry a little late to the game because that was probably like 98, 99. So, but that was the first console I had, and then I do remember. Uh, I remember the Christmas that I got all of the video games, all of the Star Wars games, like the Knights
Okay.
of the Old
Yeah.
Republic, the ba- Battlefront 1 and 2. I think I got an
Yeah.
Xbox for Christmas one year, and I had like
Oh,
six.
wow.
I had like six Star Wars games that I got for Christmas, and that assortment of games is probably a big reason why I'm
I
stuck with
mean,
Star Wars growing up.
back then, the graphics weren't bad for back in the day. I mean,
Yeah,
they were quite enticing, weren't they? And I can see
yeah,
why people sort of like got into gaming on a big scale because again, it was like sort of I had what was it the old Atari system and stuff like that. So it's just the graphics weren't great. I mean,
yeah,
we had about an hour every weekend or something like that on there, but then it was like the Nintendo 64 was the next big thing, I guess. But yeah, I mean, some of those graphics for those games. I mean, Battlefront. I love Battlefront. I thought the first one was superb.
oh yeah. Even I mean, to me as a kid, then those graphics were perfect. I think
Yeah,
now you try to turn them on, like wow, I can't. I don't know if I can sit through this, but yeah, I had a lot of the consoles from Nintendo 64 up. So I went from Nintendo 64, had Game Boy Color.
yeah, yeah,
Went from there to PlayStation, had a GameCube, and then an Xbox. So I had a lot of the kind of early consoles, early
yeah.
2000s.
Are you still into gaming now, or not really so much?
Nah, not a whole lot. I play a little bit with a couple friends, but
Yeah,
most of my friends now have kids and stuff. So
yeah.
I try to get into. I did play the like the Cal Kestis games, the,
Oh,
the
what was
Jedi
it called?
games,
Jedi
Fallen
Fallen
Order.
Order. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, if it's something I really am interested in, I will probably
yeah.
play it. If they come out with more Star Wars games, I'll probably dive into those, but that's not
Okay,
too much more.
okay, cool.
I've got friends I
Um,
play Fortnite with, and
oh,
that's probably
Fortnite.
be
Oh,
about it.
God, yeah. See, again, that game sort of like exploded, didn't it? Just all of a sudden you've got action figures and stuff like that. I mean, we're playing those games. I mean, back in the day, we had like the Saturday morning cartoons or the after school cartoons, and what we'd see on the telly, we'd say, oh yeah, we'd see them in the shop. So you see them on the telly, it entices you to sort of like buy them in the shops and stuff like that. Was that the same for you in gaming? Were you sort of like seeing these Fortnite characters and thinking, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind getting into those, or was that something that
Nah,
you
I don't
didn't
know about
get into?
Fortnite. I mean, at least now, I only got into Fortnite just because I have a friend that's kids
Okay,
play that his kids
yeah,
play. So then he started playing, and his kids stopped playing, and then we kind of still played a little bit.
yeah,
So yeah, I've only probably played that a little bit the last couple of years. So, but definitely when I was a kid, the like the after school shows, Saturday shows, like back when I was growing up, it was Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh,
yeah,
Dragon Ball Z, and a lot of that still transferred into gaming, whether it was video games or card games, like the Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Those were very popular
yeah,
when I was a
yeah,
kid.
yeah. No, I just find it really interesting, different eras and stuff like that. And because by that time, I'd pretty much sort of done and dusted with toys. Really, I was a young adult, so to speak. So I was off going doing those kind of things and stuff like that. And I didn't really sort of like pay too much attention to what was actually going on at that time within like TV or with the toy lines and stuff like that. Talking of toy lines, what was your favorite toy line and why? Or did it sort of like change from year to year when new things come out?
I think it probably I was into different things as I aged up. Really, I mean, like
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
wrestling phase. I had a kind of superhero phase. I think I probably dived the most into Star Wars though, because I probably started collecting or playing with Star Wars toys and
Yeah.
continued till I was about 13, 14 years old. So
Yeah. So what
I
was
think
it
I was
about the
still.
Star Wars toys that set it apart from everything else that you'd had at that time as a kid?
I think really the world building. I could kind of get. I had the ships. A
Yeah.
lot of what I had as a kid though was mostly prequel focused. So
Yeah.
you had your ships. You could build out your put your Jedi's in or your fighter or your clones, and you can have little battles. So you
Mm,
could really build out a lot with the Star Wars.
yeah.
Wrestling, I did a lot with too. I had the stage. I had a ring.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I went real far into that. So I probably would put the Star Wars and wrestling as the two I really
Yeah. The two
dived
two big
into.
big hitters. The two big hitters. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what was your first introduction to Star Wars then? Because I see by your collection you're a massive Star Wars fan. You got a fantastic collection. I will say that. Um, so what was it then that got you into Star Wars? I mean, had you seen the original trilogy before you'd seen the prequels, or
I
not really?
did. I think it was kind of very, I guess, like very slow process because
Yeah.
I remember when I was really young before the prequels, kind of being introduced to. I think my earliest memory of like the original trilogy is watching like the Hoth battle
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
family, like staying at a family member. I had like older cousins that grew up with it, so I'd stay with them,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it would be on TV. So I'd probably up until 7 or 8 years old just knew like, hey, I just like that big snow battle. I just really like the
Yeah.
snow battle. So I had a lot of figures early on, but it kind of like with the power of the force that I'll kind
Yeah.
of like I can look at that line and see like, oh yeah, I had that, I had that. A lot of that was probably mixed with other toys at the time too. So
Yeah.
I probably didn't really start getting into the toys until after episode one.
Okay.
'Cause I don't have anything now that I had as a kid, like toy wise. Most of what I've got,
Oh,
I've,
okay. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
really started. But probably no, 8, 9 years ago, started purchasing, going back getting older stuff.
Yeah.
But I do remember like the Power of the Jedi line, like some of those. Like I do remember you have a Obi-Wan and a Qui-Gon
That's it.
in like snow outfits in that toy line, and I remember like seeing those and it's like, wow, those weren't in the movie. I want those. I feel like that was kind of the point where it's like I need to start getting all the different figures I can. So
Yeah.
that probably
Yeah.
continued through
So that was
episode
quite an early
one.
age then. You wanted to get like variants and stuff like that.
Yeah, or at least like stuff I didn't see in the movie. Like I just thought it was
Yeah.
cool to see a Qui-Gon Jinn and he had like a blue robe, like a snow outfit, and it's like, well, that wasn't in the movie. I didn't see that. Like, well, I got to get that toy.
Yeah. Oh,
They don't really
interesting.
make. Like, I think it was a concept, like a concept art figure.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
really get a lot of that now, but
No, no, which is unfortunate. I mean, they did do a few concept figures within the 30th anniversary wave, didn't they?
oh yeah,
I think they're pretty cool. The Ralph McQuarrie ones. I mean, you can't beat Ralph McQuarrie art, can you? Really? It's just amazing. And it's the same for the prequels as well. Some of the concept art I think is pretty cool. Moving on. When did you stop playing with your toys, and when did you realize or start to become a collector?
well, I think I stopped. So I kind of Star Wars was the last kind of toys that I had as a kid,
Oh,
so I kind of base it on around that. So when episode three came out, I was in eighth grade, and I remember having that line, like some of
yeah,
those figures. But going into that summer, I was about to start high school, so it's like I can't be playing with Star Wars toys. So I think I was casually into it, maybe
yeah,
throughout
yeah,
the rest of that year. And by the
yeah,
time I started playing sports in high school, I was like, I gotta just put this in the back of the closet. So
yeah,
yeah, and I don't really have anything from when I was growing up. My parents, when I was in college, which I probably didn't have a whole lot. I probably had a couple tubs. A lot of stuff we had as a kid would end up in yard sales after,
Mm,
if you put it away for a while, it get get gotten rid of.
yeah.
But my
Yeah.
parents moved to a new house when I was in college, so most of that stuff was because I had moved away at the time anyway. So most of
Yeah.
that was passed on. So, but I didn't
Yeah.
have a lot. So I probably got out of Star Wars collecting around the time it really got into the good lines, like the saga or
Yeah.
the 30th anniversary, the legacy, the comic packs, and then the TVC 1.0. So
Yeah.
I was in high school and college when those were around. So,
Mm.
but I started collecting, I think, around when Rogue One came out because I first started
Okay.
buying the
Yeah.
Rogue One figures.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
the 5 POA ones.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and it was around that time I moved into a house by myself, and I didn't have roommates anymore because I'd been out of college just for a couple of years at the time.
Mm.
So I've been casually. It kind of. I didn't even know what TVC was really until like 2020. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just buying what I saw in stores based on movies that were out, and I think
Mm.
during COVID is when I really started getting on YouTube, and I think I first found like Usual Mike and
Yeah.
um, Only One Fan or Only One Kenobi, not as Only One
That's it.
Fans, but
Yeah.
uh, and then found Tim. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what really helped me dive further into learning about different lines, and then start making more money, and then start diving into those like more expensive to get figures. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean,
during
with you.
COVID, I really dived completely into TVC 2.0 and kind of
Yeah.
stepped back a lot from buying everything just because there's
Well,
so
that's the
much
problem,
now,
isn't it? It
and
is. It
a
is
lot that
quite
we
a.
don't even really need. So
Yes, quite a big line. Quite a big line.
it is.
I mean, I'm the same as you. So I knew of TVC 1.0, and I saw the first few figures, and I thought, "Do you know what? These are pretty cool. These are, vintage collection. Card backs, the figures. They're like a modern interpretation. Well, they were a modern interpretation of the figures that I had as a kid back in the 70s and the 80s for the original trilogy. I thought fantastic. But then I noticed they started doing episode 1 figures and I thought, what is this? What is this? These can't be classed as vintage collection. So in my naivety and stupidity, I didn't buy any of them. I thought, no, 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 it's got to be vintage collection. It's got to be the vintage of the original trilogy movies only. So I never bought them. And looking back now, I do kind of regret not jumping in
Oh yeah,
with TVC 1.0. I mean, do you
definitely.
have that? Do you have that regret?
Oh yeah, because I'm still trying to go back and
Yeah.
excuse me, at least try to. I want to get most of the pretty much all the original trilogy from the first from TVC 1.0,
Yeah,
and then maybe
yeah,
go back and get a lot of the prequel, but this is expensive.
it is. I mean, how many of those figures do you need to get A for the original trilogy figures and B to complete TVC 1.0? Or is that are you talking a lot of figures here?
I think for just the original trilogy, I think I'm still probably 15 or so I need.
Yeah,
Kind of got a lot of the more expensive ones, like the Leia. As far as the whole line, I don't think I'll ever go quite that far, but I'll probably still need like
no.
50 or 60.
Phew, wow,
So
so I mean that's quite a few,
yeah.
isn't it? I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's why I tried
So
to narrow it down to just the original trilogy, and
yeah, yeah. I suppose that would you class that as your focus then with regarding TVC?
at least as far as collecting carded, um, especially at this point, because you've got I don't know how many Clone Wars figures have they made in the last few years, and
Yeah,
Mando and
yeah,
Ahsoka,
yeah,
and it's just hard
yeah,
to. Outside of the original trilogy, like carded collection, I've just stuck to what I think looks good.
yeah.
So
So you're not a completist then?
no, I I,
No.
I I wanted to be at one point, but we're going to be at number 400 probably by the end of next year. So
Yeah, I mean that is a hell of a lot of figures, isn't it? It really is. It really is. And going back to your childhood toys, I mean, you said you didn't have much and they were in tubs. I mean, do you kind of regret that those figures have now been moved on? Would you have liked to have kept those?
um, probably not really.
No.
Most of what I had was the stuff you could probably get really cheap now anyway. Like
Yeah.
I was playing with Star Wars toys from say Power of the Force through episode 3, and those are all of the very common toy lines you could find
Yeah.
at toy shops
Yeah.
now. So,
Mm.
and that's not other than in the older lines, other than like your background aliens and stuff. I haven't really gone too far because I don't. I would rather have like a newer version of say a
Yeah.
prequel Jedi or prequel clone than going back and getting all those older ones that have no articulation. So,
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
I spent
And
my
what is it?
spent time
Uh, uh,
mostly trying to get the like Jabba aliens and the
oh, okay. Yeah.
Cantina
Yeah.
aliens, the older ones that
Yeah.
they won't ever remake.
You don't think they will?
Certain ones maybe, but
Yeah. And what is it about TVC then that sets it apart from, say, like the Black Series? Because I think Black Series come out roughly around the same time, or maybe a couple of years later.
uh, well, I mainly just like the 3 3/4 inch. I
Yeah.
mean, not per se TVC. If TVC ended and they went back to Legacy Collection or something like that, I would still
Yeah.
still purchase.
You still buy them?
But it's just the as much as you can do with it, the world building, and I didn't even when I first started kind of collecting as an adult. I probably went online and saw Black Series and said, "Oh no, that's not the right size." I didn't know what it was, but I said, "No, I want the
Yeah.
little ones." And if you asked me then, I probably could have told. I probably would have said the 6 inch has been around forever. Like I didn't know.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Um.
that's I kind of went with what I had as a kid. It's like, well, I want the
Yeah.
size
Well,
I
no,
had
that's
when
fair
I
enough.
was
I
a
mean, there's a
kid.
lot of people that I mean, 3 3/4 inches is the scale figure, isn't it? I mean, it was out in the 70s for Star Wars, and I don't think TVC. I mean, gets as much love as the Black Series, and I find that a shame. I really do. Yes, Black Series is like a premium figure and stuff like that, and it does look great, and they display really well. But I don't, I just think sometimes TVC doesn't get as much love from Hasbro as what the Black Series does.
Yeah, I do think TVC probably misses out on a lot of the. There's things they put in Black Series that
Yeah,
don't sell well that TVC probably could go well with play sets. Like there's a lot we could use for the Navarro Cantina that Black Series has that we don't have or TVC
yeah,
doesn't have. So,
yeah,
yeah, I think they probably miss the mark from time to time on choosing which line gets which figures. I mean, there's probably several clones I could trade the Black Series for some of their like Luthen. I'll trade them an Arc Trooper for a Luthen.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and I can see why TVC collectors do get frustrated. I mean, I collect both, but I've cut back on Black Series, quite a bit. So I'm kind of not on the fence here. But when you see that the Black Series have got the full set of characters from the Bad Batch from season 1 and season 2, and all TVC have got is Hunter. You just think,
Yeah.
what was the point of making Hunter? Just I don't get the logic behind some of their decisions. I really don't.
Even Andor. I mean, we've got
Yeah, yeah.
Cassian and the
Was it Val
blonde
Starter?
Vel
Yeah, yeah,
Sartha.
yeah, yeah.
They don't really go together at all. But
No, no. It does baffle me with some of their decisions that they make. But there you go. There you
I
go.
think
Um,
they're at least getting the message the last couple of years on some of the polls. I feel like we've gotten a lot of the top requests
yeah,
the last
yeah.
few years. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's
No,
just
no,
filling out the
that's
line
cool.
around that.
Well, yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got the playset they did with the carbon freezing chamber. They didn't really have anybody out, did they, at the time to populate it with? There was no Lobot at the time. There was no Lando at the time. They've still not done the Ugnaughts.
You know,
Anyway. Um, if you didn't collect Star Wars, what other toy line would you have been interested in collecting? Like diving deep into, like you have with Star Wars.
if well, if I wouldn't have started collecting 3 3/4, I probably would have started collecting Black Series. But other than that,
Yeah.
I probably would have dived into Marvel Legends.
Okay.
I've actually
You
started
a big Marvel fan?
it kind of comes and goes. I think I
Yeah.
picked up last year with the X-Men animated show I really liked. So I
Yeah,
did
yeah, yeah,
I did get a lot of the Marvel Legend X-Men they came out with last year. I
yeah,
do want to build out a small X-Men collection and MCU stuff. I don't know if I'd ever really want figures from that. I mean, I do like the content, other than the last few years, a lot of the shows and stuff haven't been that great. But
yeah, yeah,
outside of at least like media, outside of Star Wars, I would say that the Marvel stuff's probably
yeah.
what I look forward to the most.
So you'd say you're more comic style and animated versions of figures than the MCU.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
and
yeah. I mean, I've got some Marvel figures, not a great deal. Um, I've recently got the Doc Ock and the Green Goblin from the Spider-Man movie. I've got to say, the MCU ones, and
they look
they
good.
do look pretty cool. They do
They
look
do.
cool. But I've got some SH Figure Arts one as well. But I mean, I've only kept that to Iron Man because I mean, I like Iron Man, Tony
Yeah.
Stark. I thought Robert Downey Jr. played him really well. I have to say, I also got the what do you call them? The X-Men ones with the ones that come in the video cassette style
Oh yeah,
boxes. Oh
those are
man,
those are cool.
they are cool. They look great, but as figures, I was like kind of disappointed. I prefer the
Oh
ones
yeah.
that come on the card back. The 90s X-Men 97 figures they've
Hmm.
done. I prefer those.
Those are really good.
Yeah, I prefer those to the because I don't know, they just didn't
Some of the
seem to
ones
come
in
with
those
too much.
VHS boxes, like I have the Mystique, and she barely stands up. She's got a lot of those have the pins in the knees and elbows. So that
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
they went back and redid some figures in the VHS boxes, they could probably do some good ones.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for display purposes they look okay, but some of them are
Yeah.
really difficult to sort of like pose and
Oh
like you
yeah.
say, stand up and stuff like that.
The boxes
But no,
are the presentation of the boxes is probably the biggest selling point for those.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what hooked me in. I was like, oh man, these
Yeah.
boxes are they look pretty cool. But then
Even
I like the car backs
the
as well.
Spider-Man boxes,
Oh,
the
really? Yeah.
they have the VHS, like the 2 packs for the
Oh,
Spider-Man
right.
show too.
Yeah, yeah,
Those are
yeah.
cool too.
They've got is it MJ?
Yeah, I think there is a
MJ
MJ
Company?
comes with Green Goblin maybe, and then
Okay. Yeah.
there's a Morbius and Doctor Strange 2 pack,
Oh, okay.
I think, and
Yeah.
I think maybe
Yeah,
a
I don't
Peter
mind a bit of
Parker.
Marvel. I don't mind a bit of Marvel. It's
Yeah,
all right. It's all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Um, do you have a sentimental piece or a prized piece within your collection?
Uh, not really. I mean, I've got some autographs I've got at conventions.
Okay.
So I think probably my best piece is the Ahsoka figure I've got that Ashley
Right.
Eckstein signed. I ran into
Oh,
her.
wow.
Actually ran
Yeah,
into
yeah.
her at a restaurant when I was in town at a convention, and then saw her again the
Okay.
next day at the convention.
Oh, wow.
So
So did you get her autograph at the restaurant or did you
I
wait till the
didn't.
next day and pay? You didn't.
No, she
Oh,
even said there, she said, I told her, I'll come tomorrow and I'll get your autograph. She said, well, you can bring it now. It's like, I don't have it with me. I didn't have
oh,
figures
bless.
at the restaurant
I
with
mean,
me.
I've heard she's quite a nice person.
Oh yeah, she was a joy.
Yeah.
She was, she was at the ICC con, or the ICC con.
Yeah. Was that
That's a,
last year?
I think that was 2022. I
Oh,
think
okay.
that was a couple years ago. That's the
Yeah.
convention I meet up every year with Brad
Yeah.
and Gary.
I mean, they are great guys, aren't they? They
Oh yeah,
really are
we have a
great guys.
blast.
I
It's a
mean,
fun,
yeah,
always a
yeah,
fun weekend.
yeah,
We had Tim
yeah.
out there 2 years ago, and that was
I
a really
know.
fun
Yeah,
weekend.
I saw. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I mean, Tim's a great guy anyway.
Oh yeah,
So, but I've met Gary Moore. He's come over to the UK, and I've met him at Star Wars Celebration, 2023. He's tall. Well,
oh yeah,
everybody's tall
definitely.
compared to me, but what a great guy he really is. And I mean, how much does it add to the experience of going to these conventions when you actually meet up with people that you know from the community? I mean, does it, how does that make you feel? Is it, I mean,
I
a
think
better
it.
experience?
I mean, I enjoy that a lot more. Having people to hang out
Yeah,
with. Because
yeah.
I've been going to the convention I meet those guys at. I've been going there. I think this will be my 5th year. In the first couple of years
Wow.
I went by myself.
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah,
really know anybody, so it's kind of especially when you're in a different town and you don't know
Yeah.
anybody and you're at the convention all day, go back to your hotel, don't have people to hang out with. But yeah, I mean, having like group of friends at the conventions to kind of experience it all with, see the guests, get photos, get have some good eating, get some good drinks. We had some good
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
Makes
yeah.
makes it a
No,
lot better.
it is good fun. It is definitely good fun. And
Good.
yeah, we've just recently come back from a toy fair ourselves the other weekend, and we met up with a few people from the community in the UK. So that's always a good crack. When it comes to signatures, then, so who's probably been the most the person you've been most impressed with?
Probably because I don't have a whole lot of autographs. I've probably only got
Yeah.
5 or 6, and so I'd say Ashley X9 was probably the best one. I
Mm.
did I did meet Sam Witwer, but
Okay.
the time I met
He's quite a
him,
cool guy. He's a nice guy.
oh yeah, he's a lot of fun. The time I met him though, he probably had 100 people in the line and was just trying to
Wow.
get through them
Yeah,
quick
getting
and
through. Yeah, yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
a lot of time to chit chat. But
Mm.
let's see who I did. I did meet last summer. I met Paul Sun Young Lee, who plays Carson Teva.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yep.
So I told him, I said I'm actively campaigning for a Carson Teva action figure. So
Do you
I
know
think
what? I'm
he
surprised they've not done one yet. I really am surprised they've not done a.
I know. I think they will eventually. It might be in
Yeah.
Black Series first, but he's so
Well, no
popular.
doubt, no doubt.
He's so
Yeah,
popular in the toy community, and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he has his own YouTube channel where he talks about toys with people. So
Oh wow,
when he's
oh,
an avid Star Wars collector.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Um, what about a Grail piece? Do you have a Grail piece that you would like to add to your collection? When I say Grail piece, I don't mean the most expensive thing going. It could be something you've seen and you've not, one time and you've not seen it since.
Well, my Grail is probably going to be a most expensive item. uh,
Okay, fair play.
Probably the barge. I've had a
Ah,
couple
okay, yeah,
chances to get a barge. It's just outside my um, price, price window,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I wasn't I wasn't paying attention collecting wise when it was around
yeah,
to be funded. So
yeah.
I kind of came into TVC around the time of the Razor Crest, so I was able to
Okay,
back that. That's kind of probably the seeing the news cycling for that is what probably pulled me into actually knowing what TVC was. So yeah, I missed the
yeah,
barge, but
yeah.
one day, one day
One
I
day.
might go back and try to get one.
I
But I had a
mean,
chance.
wowzers. I mean, so as you know, the UK weren't really sort of like able to get
Mhm.
the barge. It was only like in America. There was a YouTube channel and a couple of places that you could get it in the UK, but it was only on a limited run or supply, should I say? And yeah, so 2020 come round and I seen a couple of sail barges for sale, which I thought, okay, and it was well above the original retail price. Really, it really was. And I thought, oh, do you know what? Sod it, why not? And I clicked buy, and then of course got it from the States, and then I didn't factor in the shipping or the import tax as well, which whacked a hefty little sum of money on top of that as well. So yeah, yeah, and I mean, and what I paid for it, you can probably they're going for that now. So with tax and um what do you call it, postage and packaging, I paid probably what they're worth now, probably around about 2.5 and stuff like that. So mental, mental, but it's a
Yeah.
great piece. It's a great
Oh
piece.
yeah, I
That's
had
a fantastic
a
piece.
shop near me. I know the owner, and I went in last week, and he took me to the back. Said, "I'm going to show you something." He had the barge in the box still.
Oh yeah.
And we kind of we talked about it, and I looked at it, and it was 1,800 for it. But it's like I can't spend the money.
That's the thing. I mean, when is too much money too much money? I mean, when I mean, fair play to you for being quite what's the word, disciplined in that kind of thing. So I mean, you could have seen it and gone, yeah, sod it, and why not? But you didn't.
Well,
Again, regrets. Are there regrets there that you've not picked it up? I'm not talking you into buying it, by the way. So if you do get
no,
it, it's got nothing to do with me.
there'll be chances. I told the guy if he still has it, probably later this fall, if
Yeah,
it's still in his shop, I'll probably end up taking it. But
Yeah.
It's either buy the barge now or go to conventions later this year. So it's one or the
Well,
other.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, so you said you got the ghost, not the ghost, the Razor Crest. Did you back the ghost, and did
I
you back
did. Yeah.
the you've got the ghost?
I did. I don't know if I took any pictures of that. It's kind of
It's big. Yeah,
right in the
yeah.
corner
Let's.
down here. Yeah, there you go. It's right
Okay.
here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
on a guitar
That's
stand.
yeah. I mean, I like the old guitar stands. I think they're quite handy for
Oh
displaying
yeah,
chips and stuff like that.
that's how I
Yeah.
had this. I had the Millennium Falcon displayed. Was on
Okay.
it for years
Yeah.
too. They're
I mean,
perfect
God,
for
that's a
these
big vehicle
big
as well,
ships.
isn't it?
Oh yeah,
That's a big vehicle. And what about the cantina? Did you back the cantina?
I did. I got two of those,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I could because I wanted the open
Yeah.
figures. So
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the
I
thing,
did
isn't it?
one
I mean,
deluxe, and I did one deluxe,
yeah,
and then one of the standard size.
yeah.
So we'll set the
In
deluxe up right here behind me where I have my cantina
oh, okay.
and
Yeah,
Tatooine,
yeah,
and hopefully we'll get the Streets of Tatooine playset soon too, and I can
yeah,
have
yeah,
that
yeah.
set up.
Yeah. I
So
mean, in hindsight, I should have back to. Well, I didn't back any actually. My wife and my mother-in-law got me that for my birthday last year, which will be coming this year, which is fantastic. But
I
again,
look
I
forward to that more than
I
the
won't be
Ghost.
opening the cards. I won't be opening. I
Yeah.
so every time I get a HasLab, I keep the figures carded and send them off to get graded. So I'll be doing that with the Ghost figures, and I'll be doing that with the Cantina figures. So
Did you get the 2-pack, the Sabine and Chopper too?
I did, and do you know what? I'm not going to get those graded. That really, really, really annoyed me. That did. There was no. I mean, they're part of the crew, so why did they not come with the HasLab itself? I mean, I've said this in my in my review video of the Ghosts and stuff like that. It's a great ship. Then there's like it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they should have had those two figures come with the
Oh yeah.
with the rest of the crew. Absolutely, I think that was bad form. That was bad. It
Yeah,
really
they'd
are.
still be interesting to see if they add anything to go with it from Rebels, if we get any more Rebels figures.
Well, that's it. That's it. I mean, like I was saying, we've not had any of the Bad Batch figures other than Hunter, so it's not well, I wouldn't say ideal. It's just the way it is, isn't it? I guess. But um,
If we got a Marauder HasLab, would you buy one of those?
See, no, hang on a minute. I'm the one should be asking the questions here. I'm the one asking the questions here. And
Uh,
talking to HasLabs, what would be your ideal TVC HasLab project and why?
um, well, I guess I'll throw out a playset and a vehicle.
Okay,
So
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess if
yeah,
we're going playset, I would like to get a Death Star just in some
yeah,
format. I'm not sure how that
yeah.
would look, but
Mm.
I think a lot of people really want that, and I think that would do very well. I think as far as ships though, I don't know if you ever played the game, but do you ever play Knights of the Old Republic or know
I
much about the
haven't.
game?
No, no. I've heard of the game and I know some of the characters of the game, but I've never played it. So
So the ship I would want the most, which they'll probably never make unless there's a movie or something they can tie it to, is the main
yeah.
ship from that game, the Ebon Hawk, which
Okay.
it's yeah, it's made the name is Ebon Hawk. It's like a synonym to the Millennium Falcon, basically.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's the crew ship for that. So it'd be cool to get that ship and all the crew from the first video game. That would
Yeah.
I feel like there's a big fan base for that show, especially my age. But I
Yeah.
don't know if you'd have to have some media or something relevant now for that to be done. But maybe if
Do you-
TVC is around 5, 10 more years, maybe we'll get it. But
well, yeah. I mean, do you think the gaming figures? Do you think they do enough gaming figures? Because I know they do the gaming greats within TVC. They're also Black Series as well. But do you think there's enough love shown to those figures? Do you think those kind of figures are popular within TVC?
I think the figures are popular, especially there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of requests for gaming related.
Yeah.
I think what we get more for gaming is that we get a lot of like army builders for the Cal Kestis games, but we don't really get a lot
Yeah.
of the main characters. So.
Mm.
But even the Revan, the TVC Revan they came out with a year ago,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't find him now, and he's almost $100 if you want to get him on
Oh,
cards.
crikey.
So
So yeah,
I
yeah,
think there's a
yeah,
lot of, especially, your lightsaber characters. There's a lot of gaming characters they
yeah,
could tap
yeah,
into for TVC that
yeah.
and Black
I mean,
Series.
there's a couple of figures that I would have liked, and I'd like to have seen those TIE Fighter Squadron pilots from Battlefront 2. You know, the what do you call it? Bloody hell. There's you got gameplay, haven't you? You got like gameplay within that, and it's like tells a
The
story
main
and stuff like
characters,
that.
like
Yeah, the
the
main
late
characters. Yeah, and they
yeah.
the TIE Fighter pilots had the red bits on
Oh
their
yeah.
helmets and stuff like that. They did one for the Black Series. I've got that, and I think that's fantastic. That really is cool. It'd be nice to have seen them do that in TVC as well. But
And
yeah,
TVC needs articulated like our, the TIE fighter pilot TVC has the swivel legs, so, and it still has a Jango Fett head underneath when you take the helmet off.
yeah, yeah. It's not. I mean, those kind of figures. Do you think they need updating? Do you think they need retooling? Would you like to see TVC do that? Go down that line? Because
Yeah,
I mean, just for example, I mean, you know, the recent TVC reveals, you've got Ponda Barber, but it's an old sculpt. They're just, you know, they've updated the card a little bit, but you basically getting the same figure you had 5, 6, 7 years ago.
yeah. I think especially like the TIE pilot, like there's room to upgrade. I don't know with the
Yeah,
limited
mm,
amount we get if it would be a top priority, but even with the Ponda Baba, they could have, at least at the slightest, gave a bigger head for him. But
yeah, yeah,
I'll probably end up getting that one just to keep on card, just for the carded variant, because
yeah,
I already have a loose one somewhere back here behind me. So
yeah. Was that the actual TVC one, or was that the Black Series one that you got?
I think the one I've got is the Black Series, but I have the
Yeah.
carded TVC 1.0
Okay. Yeah.
somewhere up
Yeah.
there on the wall
Yeah.
too. So
Pretty cool. I mean, I like those original car backs from the '96. I really do. I think
oh yeah,
they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool. Um, near enough come to the top of the hour. I've still got 3 questions for you. Oh, and by the way, just to answer your question, would I get them rewarded with the Bad Batch crew? Absolutely. Of course I would. It's, you know, the bear shit in the woods, you know what I mean? But so
I don't think I
yes.
would.
Yes, I would get that.
I don't. I don't know if I would. Hopefully, that would be
That'd
a
have to be
situation
season 1.
where,
It'd have to be season 1. It'd have to be
yeah,
season 1. Yeah.
and hopefully that'd be a situation where they would, in the main line, maybe use those sculpts and release season two. That I don't know if I'd want to open carded figures, but if that was the only way we would get the crew, then I probably would
Yeah.
open them.
Yeah.
I don't think I would buy
Well,
two Marauders.
what they would do is they probably do a standard version with season 1 figures and a deluxe version with season 1 and season 2 figures. But because they seem to be going down that route now, don't they? With the deluxe and stuff like that. I mean, they've done it with the playset. Do you think they would do that again? Do a standard and a deluxe, or do you think that was just a one-off with the cantina?
Um. Oh, you mean the? I don't know. I don't know
Haslabs.
what they
Yeah, yeah,
would do for a ship, because at least with the cantina, you don't get more figures with the deluxe. You just get more cantina. So I don't
yeah,
know if they had the Marauder as the Haslab. I don't know if they did a deluxe version. It would be nice if they gave you a option to buy a carded sample and a loose sample, but I don't think they would do that because
Oh, see, yeah, yeah. I mean,
it would cut into their
who did
overall
that?
sales.
There was someone who've done someone's done that. They did
That was
they the Star Speeder, wasn't it?
yeah,
Star Speeder
Starseed.
3000. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
I would have bought if that wasn't out at the same time as the Cantina. I probably would have bought the Star Speeder
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I mean,
when it went online for sale at the the D23 when it went
yeah.
online, I had it in my cart and I could have bought it, but I said I don't need that.
Again, regrets or no, not really.
No, not really. I mean, I don't.
No.
It's a cool ship, but I don't have
Yeah.
a lot of room for it, and I'll probably end up with it someday down the road, but I don't
Yeah.
think it was a priority. It kind of came out of nowhere. If they would have told you 6 months ahead it was coming out, I probably would have planned for it and bought it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
'cause they were selling for,
Again, it does look a fantastic ship, and I mean, I don't know if you have any sort of like ties with Disney and stuff like that, and the original ride, but I went on the original version of that, and I just well, I can't do it now because I get motion sickness, but Yeah, it's a vehicle that I would have liked to have had, but again, it was really difficult to get in the UK. It really was.
See, I went to Disney World. Let's see, trying to think of what year. I guess it would have been 2005. I went to Disney World 2005,
Mm.
and we were there. That was back when they did Star Wars weekends.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think the weekend I was there, which we didn't get to meet him, but I think if I remember correctly, Anthony Daniels was there that weekend, and
Okay.
Peter Mayhew was there that
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah. Bless him. Yeah.
And I do remember my little brother. He was probably 7 or 8 at the time. He got to go on a stage and have a battle with some guy in a Darth Vader, a Disney
Oh,
work wearing
wow.
Darth Vader
Yeah, yeah.
costume.
That's cool.
But I don't remember. I don't remember. Was that ride there in Orlando at that time?
Star Tours, yeah. Yeah, because I went in. When did I go? I went in 95, 96. But I went in two years back to back. So it was there then, yeah.
Did they still have it in the
Star
early 2000s?
Star
Was it
Tours.
still
Yeah,
around?
Star Tours. Yeah. Yeah,
So
they
I
still
may
have
have
it.
I may have done Star Tours when we went, but I don't really remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, with your collection, and a fantastic collection it is as well, would you ever consider starting up your own YouTube channel and showing off more of your collection and the figures that you buy and stuff like that? Or is it something that you're not really opposed to doing?
I've thought about it. I mean, I feel like we've got some really good YouTubers out there when it comes to doing reviews and kind of showing what's coming out.
Yeah.
Um, so I'd have to kind of find. I mean, I would do it just for the sake of being able to casually have live streams. I don't know. I would probably want to do that more often, just hanging out with
More
folks
live
than
streams, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
than doing too many videos. Because
Mm,
other than doing tours of my room, I don't know what kind of. I mean, Nick comes up with all kinds of ideas for his content, but I could
yeah.
maybe start filming videos for when I get new, like get figures, older figures, kind of
Yeah.
like toy hauls. But
Yeah.
maybe one day we'll see.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, you've got the collection. You really have, and like I say, I love the way you have it displayed. I love the look of the figures in the star
Thank you.
cases. I love the way you've got things displayed, and I like the lighting in the back as well. That's which I need to get lighting for this lot. I said I was going to do that last summer, but I never did. So
Yeah, I still need some
there
lights
you
on the
go.
shelves on the side, but I'm
Yeah.
running out of room, so I've kind of started making plans, especially for when like the cantina. I might have to get another one of these tall shelves and
Yeah.
maybe put
Yeah.
it over here and
Yeah.
cut down my carded collection.
How much of an issue is that? I mean, because I know it's every collector's worst nightmare is space. How do you get around the lack of space? Do you have to find that you rotate figures out and stuff like that, or do you pretty much keep the same core figures and then the rest just the new stuff goes in tubs?
Well, if you kind of so I started my Instagram page probably right around the time I started building this room.
Yeah,
So like 3 years ago, this room was mostly just like two shelves. So I mean, I've really filled this room up in the last year,
wow,
especially with
wow,
loose figures. But
yeah,
but I don't have too much of a space issue, especially if I try to cut down on carded figures because this whole wall is just carded figures. So if
yeah.
I consolidate that, I could easily fit a good sized shelf with a few hundred more loose figures. So always room to expand.
What do you prefer, carded or loose?
Probably the loose. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
collect anything carded except TVC. I've got a
okay, yeah,
few. I've got a few random older figures that I just didn't want to open that were too
yeah,
expensive. Like the concept Anakin, the episode 3 where
okay,
he's in
yeah,
the all black. He's sitting up here on
yeah.
the shelf. Like I think he's the only thing I
Is that
have
the
that's
same one?
not.
Is that the same one? Only one's got.
I think
Only
so.
one goes on about
Yeah,
him. Yeah, yeah,
I think
that one
so.
there.
He,
Yeah,
he he's talked about that one in the past, being his favorite Anakin, and that probably
that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
probably is
yeah.
the best Anakin we've got up to now
Yeah.
when we had the new
Wow.
Clone Wars one at least.
Wow, wow. Yeah, no, so again, if you had a choice, if you had to choose going forward, you could only choose carded or loose. What would you go for?
I'd probably go for loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could
Would you
probably
buy them loose, or would you buy them on the TVC card, then take them off the cards?
depends on what it is.
Yeah.
If it's some of the older, more expensive figures that you would have to pay a pretty penny for on card, I probably would go loose.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
even a couple years ago, like I've bought some expensive figures that I've opened. I mean, like the Slave Leia, I had to get the Legacy collection to open for my shelf. But
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, I
Yeah.
spent
Yeah.
probably close to
Yeah.
$100 for her during COVID.
Yeah.
So it's hard spending
Sweetheart.
$100 and then
Oh. Oh my
ripping it
god.
off the
Well,
card.
the thing is, I've always said there's no right way to collect, there's no wrong way to collect. And I know some people out there listening would go, oh my god, they've opened up a figure they paid a pretty penny for. But like I say, each to their own. But for me personally, so because Gary Moore, when I met him in 2023, bless him, he kindly brought me over the deleted scene layer
Hmm.
from the Sandstorm and stuff like that. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, okay, thank you so much. And I've kept that on card. I've
Oh yeah.
no way am I going to open that. And you know the silly thing is, I quite like the original Ahsoka Tano card back, the one from Clone Wars. I thought that was a great looking card back. The figure's not brilliant, but I missed out a lot on TVC 1.0. And there was I don't know why, I must have been mad. I come this close to buying a £600 figure. That's what they were going to charge for it, 600 UK or Great British pounds. And I was over the bite now. And for some reason, I stopped. And it was only a few weeks later that they revealed that they were going to be re-releasing that figure. So I'm bloody glad I did not buy that figure.
So this
Because
was my probably most recent biggest purchase. I mean, this was a
yeah,
hefty
yeah,
price to get the unpunched. This is
yeah,
the return card, but
yeah. I
so I mean
mean,
some of
again,
these.
a figure that they will never ever re-release. They will never ever re-release that figure, and I think it's such a shame. Well, saying that, they have said never say never, but I can't see them doing it. I can't see them doing
Yeah,
it.
at this point, if they ever went back, they would need to redo. But
Oh,
I
what,
don't.
as in like retooling?
Yeah, maybe redo the figure. It's.
Yeah,
I think they released this one 2 or 3 times. I think first in the Legacy collection.
yeah. I mean, could you see yourself going down the line that only one's gone down and getting all the variants? The Canadian version, the San Diego Comic Con version, or is that something that you've got one? That's it. I don't need any more.
It depends how long I keep collecting, and then how long.
Yeah,
I mean, I might kind of be in the boat that if TVC ended in the next couple of years, I probably would be fine with, or at least took a break from the vintage collection.
yeah,
I would probably be fine with that because I would. So I think it depends on how much longer the line itself goes. If TVC continues for another 10 to 15 years, I'll probably find it very hard to go back and get older, especially
figures.
variants. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
if the line probably wraps up around the 50th anniversary or something like that, then
Oh, can you
I'll
imagine that?
probably, huh?
Can you imagine that? 50th anniversary, and they say, yeah, we're not doing it anymore. TVC's finished. You'd
You
be like,
never know
oh,
with
what?
toys. I mean,
No,
I've
no.
honestly a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have thought we wouldn't have got that far, but I
Yeah,
think we'll
yeah,
get there now. I think so. I think the
yeah.
lines we've got enough kind of coming out in the future that it'll go for a few more years. But
Yeah, I mean, like you say, the world building of the 3 3/4 inch figure, Hasbro, they've got to be laughing with these HasLabs, because it's 3 3/4 inch. People are buying it. You've seen that they're not successful with the 6 inch scale with the Black Series when it comes to HasLabs. That's just down to poor choices, basically. But I mean, what can you really do with the Black Series when it comes to HasLabs? There's not really much you can do, is there?
I mean, there's like ideas I could throw out, but like Jedi Starfighters or something. But it's like,
Yeah.
how much would sell? The Rancor didn't have a big backing, so
No, no,
I don't
no. I
know.
mean, it did look good. It looked good. I will give it that. It looked
Oh
very
yeah,
good. But I think the whole presentation, the package, the figures that come with it, it was
I
a,
think the
what are you
tiers,
doing?
there was too much to kind of make fun of on the tiers. There was too much negativity, kind of like the Cantina rollout. I mean, I think it was affected by the by how by the leaks and the short time period.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think a lot of that is more on the Hasbro part than the consumer, but Black
Yeah.
Series are mostly younger. A lot of the YouTubers for Black Series are fairly young crowds. So, I mean, I
Okay.
don't know if when I was 23, 24, if I could have forked out $400 for a Star Wars toys.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That is the thing. I mean, you know, these HasLabs, they are expensive, and it's and where do they stop? Because it'll be interesting to hear from you, Mackenzie, with regards to HasLabs. Do you think there should be a HasLab every single year
um,
for TVC, or is that just too much?
I, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm opposed to it, but if they win every other year, it depends on what we got. I like the year we
Yeah,
had
yeah.
the Boba Fett can the Boba Fett's throne
The
room
Palace. Yeah,
placement.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So if you're still getting some kind of world building pieces or ships throughout the year, maybe not a HasLab every year is necessary. But
yeah.
if we're not
I,
getting those
you know, I think
pieces,
I prefer that to have like a smaller playset or a ship come out, you know, every now and again, as a, you know, instead of having like this HasLab come out
yeah,
every single year, you know, because you know, I'd love them to re-release the B wing or
mhm,
the Y wing. Do you know what I mean? Ships like that,
yeah,
you know.
that'd be cool.
But there you are. Um,
Yeah,
sorry, go on, crack on.
I think probably price is big. Like if they could come up with the HasLab every year in a three to $400 range, that I could still probably also afford a big play set, a couple smaller vehicles.
Yeah.
You get $500-600
But the thing is as
HasLabs.
well, where are
Hard to
people
get
going to put them?
multiple.
Because you know these play sets and HasLabs they're not small, are they?
Mhm.
To be fair, and you know people just haven't got the room. So I
Yeah.
mean, you just got to look at the size of the box for the Ghost. That's yeah, that's just
I
madness.
my box is sitting in the hallway outside the door from
Oh, is it?
when I come into my toy room, I push the box out in the hall. When I leave, I push the box back in here because I don't have nowhere to
You
put
know what? I'm not being funny. I do the same thing at the moment.
it.
So yeah, yeah.
And
In fact,
I have a closet in my toy room where I've kept a lot of the other boxes, like the big boxes for the
yeah,
like the Razor Crest, the Millennium Falcon that I don't really want
yeah.
to get rid of the boxes, but I mean, it's not, how many giant boxes can you store? So
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing is, you know, that's why I'm asking: is it a good idea they do a HasLab every single year? Because you know, people aren't going to buy it every single year, so
yeah,
you might find the numbers dwindle. You don't know, do
so
you? But never mind.
we've now had two. We had one in 23 and 24, and I think it's a good chance we'll get one this year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that
Well,
might
we'll
be why
see. I
you see
mean,
the numbers trickling down.
well, yeah, it wouldn't surprise
So,
me. It wouldn't surprise me. What gives you that toy collecting buzz?
uh, it's just like the thrill of the hunt, really. Like going out to shops looking for things. I feel like that's more fun. Then you get home, open it, and it just goes on the shelf, and then you're just like, okay, I'm done with it. So it's just that, like, I don't know if you have the same feeling, but when you're at toy shows or shops, kind of looking around, you just kind of get that
Yeah,
like rush. I guess I don't know,
yeah,
but
yeah. Definitely, definitely. I mean, are you? From what I'm gathering, then you prefer going out and seeing it for real, like at a toy fair or a convention, than what you know, or you quite happy to get stuff off a line,
it depends. I mean,
offline.
for like the new stuff,
Yeah,
I think I've got to the point now. I just get it online. A few
yeah,
years ago, I'd be like, I'm gonna go to Walmart every Saturday and see if they have the new waves. Like I can't. It's exhausting. So
yeah,
just pre-order and wait.
yeah,
And then you're
yeah,
fighting the battle of who's gonna get the next wave first.
yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean,
but when it
I know what you
as far
mean
as
because when
older
I
stuff, I like to be able to go out and find
yeah,
things. But I'm
yeah,
to the point now where most of what I need, and if I'm gonna find certain things, it's easier to look online.
yeah, yeah.
I bought a lot
I
off
mean,
eBay
when
in the last year. So
you got a lot of eBay,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just like saying, you know, I know how you mean when you go to the toy fairs and stuff like that. The last toy fair I went to, I come back with 3 vintage items from the 80s. You know, like a vintage He-Man, vintage G1 Transformer Jazz and Oving Zartan from the 80s. And I was like, do you know what? I felt a lot happier getting those 3 figures than what I do normally
Oh yeah,
coming back with modern stuff. Do you know what I mean? It
yeah,
just felt so good. It's like, wow, these are vintage stuff, and that was a pretty good feeling. So yeah, I did enjoy that for sure.
yeah.
One
And
last question.
even
Oh,
sorry,
sorry, go on.
even with Star Wars toys, like it's yeah, I'm in the States. I live in North Carolina, but you got a
Yeah.
lot of toy shows around here. There's not. It's mostly Hot Wheels cars and not like you don't see a whole lot of Star Wars figures anymore, especially the outside of the really cheap ones. I mean, you could
Okay.
find hundreds of Power of the Force 2 figures, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of the vendors I know that used to sell a lot of Star Wars that the shows just don't bring a lot because it doesn't sell. So
Yeah. I mean,
those get harder to find.
have you never considered getting into the vintage Kenner figures?
I've thought about it a few times, especially when I'm at conventions with Gary and Brett and Brad and
Yeah.
seeing the stuff they buy. But maybe one day I'll probably get a few pieces, but I wouldn't really
Yeah.
know where to start. I think if I went down the line down that route, I probably would start with maybe just try to get some cheap carded versions of figures I
Oh,
like.
you
I'd like
get
to maybe
there would be card. You get them carded. You wouldn't get them loose.
um yeah, because I probably would start small. I mean, if I did vintage, I probably would just maybe do a run of the bounty hunters and then maybe be done with
Yeah.
it.
Do you know that's how I started?
So
That's what got me back into because I had the figures as a kid. I thought, do you know what? I like these. So I'm going to get the vintage Kenner bounty hunters, and I did. And I thought, do you know what? Empire Strikes Back's my favorite film. I want to get the Hoth scene next. So I got all the Hoth figures, and it went on to so it just went that way. And then yeah, so that was pretty cool, pretty cool. Right, last question. Then we've gone past the hour, but it's all good. What does your collection mean to you?
uh, well, it just takes me back to kind of all the things I enjoyed about being a kid, and especially now I've kind of feel like I've been brought into the community of the online toy collectors and kind of have a lot of friends through that. So it's kind of took me out of my little circle and kind of given me a little bit more than just the day to day
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
So that's a joy, I'd say.
Oh no, good, good, good. Because I mean, I've seen you in the Tim's Discord. That's how I got chatting to you
Oh
in the
yeah,
first place, and then you jumped on and wanted to do the quiz, so that was pretty cool. You get to meet people like Gary Moore
oh
and
yeah,
Brett and
definitely.
Brad. I mean, they are such good lads, though. Those they really are good lads. Those 3, top notch. And yeah, and like I say, it's great to have you on the channel. So a massive thank you. And
Yeah, it's
yeah,
been
really,
been a good chat. It's been nice to
yeah,
be
yeah,
on. So look
really
forward to
enjoyed the conversation.
the. I'm not sure the date this will air, but we'll have um your charity is the 8th and ninth.
This will air the day before, so tomorrow will be the 24-hour charity live stream in
Well, I will be
those
on
those
live
times. So yeah, yeah,
tomorrow night.
you will
Technically
be.
tomorrow night with I think with Gary, Brad, and Brett on the live
Yeah,
stream there.
yeah, yeah. Aptly named the Bad Batch. So yeah, I couldn't have found a better. 'Cause I mean, I'm not being funny. When those guys get together, the 3 of them, they're
Oh
just great.
yeah, it's
They're
fun.
great, and you're gonna have a great time as well. Um, I just want to say a huge, huge thank you for
Well,
jumping on and
thank you
being
for
part
having
of the
me on.
series. It does mean a lot. It's been great to get to finally chat to you on a one-to-one basis. Thank you so much. And like I say, I know we chatted briefly in the quiz, but that was a more pressured kind of atmosphere. This has been a bit more relaxed, I hope. Where can people find you um, on your social media platforms?
Pretty much just on Instagram is
Yeah,
my Instagram account. This TVC Mackin. I'm on a lot of the Facebook groups. My name's Mackenzie, so you'll probably see me in some of the TVC groups on Facebook. But other than that, it just mostly chats, different
yeah.
chats, not chats on YouTube. So
Yeah,
Tim's
cool.
channel and whatnot. So catch me
Okay.
in the
Well, what I'll
chat.
do is I will leave the link to your Instagram page um on the in the description below to this.
I need to start posting more pictures. I think I've only posted one picture this year.
Yeah,
So.
you've got a great collection, so get it out there, man. Get it
Yeah,
out there. You know,
I've
so
started.
yeah,
I
excellent
rearrange
stuff.
things a lot too, so I just need to get some pictures
Well,
up
there's
and
nothing wrong with that.
change
Nothing wrong with
things.
keeping it fresh. Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, Mackenzie, I've got to say a huge thank you once again. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you on a
Oh, yeah.
one-to-one basis. Thank you so much. For those of you who have stayed and watched or listened to the very end, thank you very much. There will be no My Collecting Life next week. We will be back again in a couple of weeks' time. So until then, take care, stay safe. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.